Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. Here we are on Saturday, April 22nd, back with you once again for our monthly Energies and Opportunities broadcast. We want to welcome you warmly. And for those of you who are newer to our community, we'd like to let you know that we do this complimentary broadcast once a month to keep our members updated as to all the energies as they're moving from week to week. Because what we teach about is working with the universal energies. We look at them through the human design matrix. We also look at them through the astrological matrix. And in doing that, we've learned to really streamline our lives and the lives of our clients. So this is to give you a bit of a just general overview of the energy so that you can know what's coming and prepare for it and work with the opportunity cycles really well, and know when there's challenging cycles, not to avoid them, but to go right through the center of them, like be in the eye of the storm, and let the challenge show you what the gift is, because there's always a gift in any challenge that we have. So that's our purpose, and we'll be together for an hour. We're delighted to be here with you. A little evolutionary human design news. Shatan has opened his mentoring program, and for the first time, it's always only ever been done by personal invitation, but for the first time, we're opening it to our community. So you may have seen emails coming. We have applications coming in for the mentoring program, and the application process is still open until May 4th. So you have plenty of time. This is April 22nd, all the way up to May 4th. Take a look. You'll see some emails on it, or you can go to the URL and learn more about what the value is and how your life can transform and change as you work one-on-one deeply with Shatan in his mentoring. Do you want to tell us how to get there?
Yes, just go to our website, evolutionaryhumandesign.com, and follow the tabs and find the application form. And I look forward to talking with you. It is, as Carol has said, it's a transformational process. There's a beginning and there's a middle and there's an end to it. And at the end of it, you'll recognize you're living so much more in tune with your life.
Yes.
Than ever possible.
Yeah, it's an amazing deep dive transformational process, working deeply in one-on-one with Shatan. So if it calls to you at all, take a look. And then later on in May, on May 8th, we're going to launch my life path reading special. And it's a life path and success coaching bundle of sessions that my clients have found to be enormously useful throughout the years of their life, not just at the time of the reading, but for many, many years afterwards. So when that comes, if you'd like to take a look at it, it's your opportunity to work with me deeply. We spend just a little bit under half a day together, going deeply, deeply, deeply into your entire lifetime, the whole evolutionary process of your life. And we look at the energies that are coming up in the next year or two. So that's what's on offer from Evolutionary Human Design. There are some powerful energies that we're going to be seeing this month. We're in the middle of two big eclipses. We'll talk about that in a moment. It's going to bring big opportunities, and hopefully the information we'll share with you will help you to be prepared for all of the changes and the big opportunity cycles as well. So shall we go back in time a little bit?
Yeah, let's go back to the eclipse and
Okay.
see what was going on there.
So we're going to back up a few days to just this last Wednesday on the 19th. Well, that's in Pacific time zone. Many of you in the European time zones would have experienced this in the wee hours of the morning on April 20th. So April 19th, 20th, we have a solar eclipse. The solar eclipse in a really interesting place. First of all, what is a solar eclipse? What is an eclipse? An eclipse is an extra powerful lunation. So every month we have a new moon and we have a full moon. And the new moon of each month begins a new cycle of experience that goes on for about 30 days. It culminates at the full moon. and then continues to integrate from the full moon on into the next new moon. So we had this new moon, but the new moon on April 19th, 20th was an especially powerful one because it's also a solar eclipse. When we have eclipses, they come in pairs and they happen twice a year. Essentially what happens with an eclipse is that the energy of the natural sort of gentle evolutionary change that's happening throughout our lifetime, month to month, year to year, is catalyzed in a much stronger way through an eclipse. So an eclipse brings a time for big change, for big awakening, for big realizations. And if it's time to make a shift in your life, the eclipse will give you the opportunity to get really clear about that. I mean, you still have to pay attention, to go inside and, find your truth and ask those questions of yourself that are important to ask. But the eclipse energy makes it a very ripe time for us to get really, really clear on where we are now in our lives and what it is we want to create going forward. So the energies of the solar eclipse show us a bit about what we'll be working with. And what we have here, an interesting solar eclipse, because it's right at the very end of one astrological sign, the sign of Aries. I mean, the very, very tail end of Aries. And it is in a right angle to the planet Pluto, which is the planet of transformation. Pluto takes us through a process of death and then rebirth, of letting go of the old so that something new can get born. It's a natural process in life, but sometimes we have difficulty letting go of the old so that we can make room for what is new, that is wanting to really birth within us. So this solar eclipse is kind of a no choice solar eclipse. It's like, it's time. It's catalyzing, it's Pluto, it's bringing big realization. It's time to make a move. It's time to take the changes you've been thinking about or considering, or, and make some very clear and powerful decisions. Now, it might not be time to act on those decisions because in addition to the solar eclipse at this time, we also on the 21st had, just yesterday, had Mercury turning retrograde. So Mercury in the sign of Taurus. For those of you who don't know what retrograde is, it's the apparent backwards motion of a planet. And all of the planets will retrograde at some period of time. Mercury does it frequently. It does it 3 times a year for about 3 weeks. So what does this mean in our lives? First of all, Mercury's retrograding at 15 degrees of Taurus, which, as we'll see in a moment, is the eclipse point. So again, this is kind of a special Mercury retrograde, and that it carries more weight than the usual Mercury retrograde. So 3 times a year, Mercury goes retrograde, and what that does is it gives us an opportunity to do some reviewing in our life, to look at what projects we have in motion, what's current, what's on our desk that's still yet to be handled, those things that we've been meaning to do that we need to get to, having our car serviced or computer cleanup or whatever. It's time to kind of catch up. So we use this 3 weeks, it's a little more than 3 weeks of time, to catch up and get current, clear the desk, clear your mind of all those things that, are niggling you about that need to be done, get them done, cross them off the list, and get your energy clear and ready again for new creation. So when Mercury goes direct in the middle of May, you're ready to take some very powerful action. And this is especially powerful at this time because it's happening right here in the middle of these 2 extraordinarily powerful eclipses. So big changes coming. In addition, we've got some revolutionary new technology that is breaking through. I don't know if you follow the world of technology. There's medical technology breakthroughs happening now, energy technology breakthroughs. I mean, it's really exciting what's happening. And there's even some rumbling in the financial world of some new ways or new new currencies or new way of working with the exchange of value. So hold on to your hats, because there's a lot of revolutionary energies and big changes happening. We're going to have an opportunity to have really effective collaboration, and find that as we're working with the energies of Pluto in this eclipse, it's really speaking to power, our personal power. Where do we find our personal power? We find it by being aligned with ourself, with our true self, with our inner nature. And human design, of course, is a powerful, amazing tool to help us rapidly get aligned with the essence of who we truly are and what we came here to express.
So I'm also going to have a recap of the eclipse that happened yesterday, and just to look at it from the human design perspective. As Carol has said, there's this fascinating link between Pluto and this eclipse. And from the human design perspective, the eclipse took place where the sun and the moon together were in hexagram number 3. And hexagram number 3, it's in the sacral center in the human design charts, and the lower side in the middle. And it's the gateway of innovating, bringing about new stuff, completely breaking out of the bonds of the old, of the tried and the true, and going into something different. And we might even say revolutionary, not seen before. And all of us know when we're starting out in something new, we really have to get our feet on the ground. We have to get really clear of what it is we're innovating, and to be there for the process without necessarily knowing how it's all going to turn out. So the eclipse kind of threw out a challenge for us. And I'm just going to read the line. It took place in the 3rd hexagram and the 4th line. And the line is called associating, realigning with your real sense of purpose. Now, I've been in the transformation business for a long time, especially working with human design, especially encouraging people through meditation to really find out what your real purpose is in life. And that's pretty much why I'm offering the mentoring program at the moment, so people can really tune into, because a lot of us, we got railroaded. We go through school, we get picked out a career for us, and we just kind of launch into it. And the next thing, we're up to our eyes in it. And, we've never really had the time to stop and manage and see, is this really what my life is calling me to do? So it's a very, very important thing to find out what our real purpose is here and to be thoroughly fulfilled in that. And that's what Carol and I are all about, is helping you find your fulfillment in life. So the eclipse taking place in the 3rd hexagram and the 4th line, Pluto in gateway number 60. So those of you familiar with human design know that we have this channel, the 360 for these next days. And then sure enough, at the beginning of May, Jupiter slots into gateway number 3, and we have that whole continuity of this channel of mutation from now all the way through to the 22nd of May. So let's just say a lot of things are going to get stirred up, a lot of opportunity to make some really dramatic jumps in our lives on a personal basis, and aligning ourselves, innovating, finding out what it is really calling for us in this time. The other gateway that's really fascinating in this moment in time, and will be throughout the next month, is gateway number 2, the gateway of receptivity. And Mercury did its turn in gateway number 2 yesterday. And basically, the gateway number 2 is the gateway we call receptivity, being receptive. Now, all of us know how to give. We know how to give out, and we know how to, produce things and put our energy into stuff. But there's that other side of it. How good are we at being able to receive? And, Carol is talking about all these innovations in technology that's taking place at the moment across all kinds of spectra. But a lot of us are beginning to realize, it's also happening on psychic levels. It's also happening on clairaudient and clairvoyant levels as well. But a lot of us are picking up on things. It's like, wow, I am beginning to get these very, very different perspectives of things. And to start with, it can be a little bit alarming. How come I never saw that before? How come, it was always there and I couldn't kind of see through it? I didn't get these insights and these revelations. So the great thing is to allow yourself to ground it and just recognize if you're having these gifts, let them come and let them be with you. But also be prepared to let them go as well, right? Hanging on to psychic gifts in the long term really doesn't do us any good. They're just, they're gifts that come. and we get to use them, we get to play with them, we get to see how it is they bring about transformation in our life, and then also be ready to let go so that new gifts can come along and different perceptions can come in too. So I'm emphasizing gateway number 2. Now, Uranus was in gateway number 2 for a large part of last year, and it was accenting this gate. It was going backwards and forwards through this, just giving us these pops, these breakthroughs in terms of what it is we were able to perceive and receive. And now Mercury has done its turn in gateway number 2, and it's done it in the 3rd line. So I'm just going to read the gateway of receptivity. The 3rd line is the line that's called patient knowing, acknowledging that life never ceases giving lessons. And that's what I'm saying about be receptive, let gifts come your way, but also be prepared to see, okay, there's a lesson in this. I learned something through this. And it's also, once I've learned it, I don't need to hang on to it. So it does this retrograde all the way up until the 14th of May. And then it does its direct turn and continues back to retrace its steps again, going forward till the 30th of May, where it comes back to the 2nd gateway and the 3rd line again, this line of patient knowing. So very, very potent time. We have, as we close out this month, we have Mars going into gateway number 53. We have Jupiter wrapping up its presence in gate 42, and that concludes the month. So the 53 and the 42 is this channel of transformation. So a lot of transformation going on at this moment. As I'm speaking right now, we're all given a transit of being manifestors, a lot of manifesting energy going up through the emotions side. So a lot of heightened emotions going on at the moment, a lot of possibilities, a lot of new doorways fleeing back, a lot of new perspectives coming in. So just to be, really alert, watchful, and comfortable with these things. And when we feel a little bit overloaded emotionally, do what my granny always used to tell me, take a deep breath. She was so wise, she would just say, you're getting a little het up, you're getting a little overexcited about stuff. Just take a deep breath, take a pause, have a look, go back into it again. Yeah. Over to you.
We can look around, and certainly if we're listening to the news, which I don't recommend, but there's so much happening in the world right now, and we're hearing so much of chaos here, and shootings here, and disasters here, and problems that it can feel kind of overwhelming. We're becoming global beings. We're moving into this age of Aquarius, but part of becoming global beings is that we're aware of what's going on in many, many parts of the world all at the same time. This is really testing our consciousness, our ability to hold our own clear consciousness in this world of apparent activity. So, if we go back and we look at, okay, so where are we right now? So we went through Aries. Aries is the beginning. It's the first sign of the zodiac, so it's a new beginning for the year. And just on the 20th of April, the sun, right at the eclipse point, the sun moved out of Aries and went into Taurus. So now for this next 30 days, those 30 days you were talking about, while Mercury's doing its retrograde and then coming back to the point where it began its retrograde, we're in a period of building and consolidating, getting really clear. The metaphor for it is like, if you've ever cleared out your closet, it's like we're in a period of that, like in our lives, like we're clearing out the non-essential, the extraneous, the what doesn't serve us anymore, what's no longer useful, or what's no longer true for us. And we're stepping into a new awareness, and that awareness of us as conscious co-creators here on planet Earth. It's up to us to create the reality that we desire. So we can be living, there can be chaos all around, and we can be having a reality that's beautiful, that's blessed, that's light-filled, that's joyful. That's possible. We know, because we're doing it. And we know many, many people in our clients and students who are also doing that. And millions now all over the world awakening to the fact that we actually do create the quality of our own reality. And the more aligned we are with our design, the easier it is to do that, the more intentional we are with our life, and the more aware we are of the energies as they're moving, the better equipped we are. We're moving into, if we look at the end of April before we go into May, we have a first quarter moon. That first quarter moon on April 27th, just a few days from now. And it's setting the stage for everything we're going to be experiencing over the next week as we go into the month of May. The sun in Taurus, together with the moving soul path for all humanity. So we're getting clearer about our values. We're getting connected to our values. We're having ideas. The ideas for new innovation now during this period of while the sun's in Taurus are getting tested. And we try them out. We see what works and what maybe needs refinement. We've got some great linking energy happening here at the end of April and the beginning of May, with the sun and the soul path all together in Taurus, in a linking energy with Saturn and Pisces, which is really bringing us into an opportunity for very effective implementation, or seeing how to implement effectively the improvements that we see need to happen. We also have some good open communication with Venus and Gemini in a beautiful aspect with the planet of soul alignment, Chiron. And that's leading us to recognize what any old pain or unresolved issues that we need to heal and resolve. This is a great time to be doing that. And also we've got, it's a highly busy time. It's an active time for very, very positive growth. Mars, the planet that has to do with our work in the world, in a very linking positive energies that are innovative and active for movement, for getting things going and moving. It's a time of building and a time of making good alliances and connections with the people who would be important for you to collaborate with. So there's lots of opportunity here in the middle of the rocking and rolling between these two eclipses. The other thing I should mention that happens, the planet Pluto. So Pluto's been in the sign of Capricorn since 2008, and it's been really rocking and challenging all of our systems, the systems that form the underpinning of societies. And just a couple months ago, Pluto edged into the sign of Aquarius. And it's been there just at the very beginning degrees of Aquarius, 0 degree, 1 degree of Aquarius, giving us a little bit of an, open doorway to peer through into the future, into what we can create, what's possible to create. Pluto turns retrograde on May 1st in 0 degrees of Aquarius. And then over time, it's going to back up back into Capricorn for another period of time of completing the kinds of realizations that we need to have about the changes in our systems that are so vital to have. Changes in our political systems, our medical systems, our financial systems, our communication systems. I mean, our healthcare systems,
nationality systems.
Yes, I mean, it's a huge time of transformation for humanity, and all of us, we are each a part of that transformation. Okay, that's what I have to say about that time. Let's go into May, or shall we?
Well, I just want to say, we were asked the other day, what's the difference between change and transformation? And the two are, day and night. Transformation involves making enormous jumps in life, that you get to a point in your life, you're doing the same old thing all the time, and all of a sudden you realize, my goodness, I'm done with this. And you drop it, and you move on, and you take in some completely different aspect of life again. Whereas change, it's like, you're going along with whatever it is that society is doing, what's being recommended for you, and, just kind of fitting in, going along with the trends. Whereas transformation, you do a total jump out of that. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not interested in that anymore. And that is basically the energy of this time, with this channel between Pluto and the Sun at first, and then Jupiter we're in this space of mutation for the better part of May. And so just to be aware of that, all of us can make a jump out of the tried and the true, the way we've been going along with stuff our whole life, you know, and launch ourselves into something completely different. And, you know, the beauty of that is, the beauty of transformation is the opportunity is to find one's individual nature. Whereas the change is just going along with the trends, going along with everybody else, going along with society, following along whatever is being prescribed.
Change can include improvement.
Oh, it can bring improvement, but it's not transformational.
It's different than transformation.
Yeah. So I hope that makes it clear that, you know, we're in a massive time of transformation at the moment. It's Jupiter from the beginning of May. Jupiter is all about expansion into completely innovative ways of life, innovative, personally empowering ways of life. And Pluto's kind of, we know, has gone into the sign of Aquarius now. Aquarius is a very, very different energy than Capricorn. And, you know, it's breaking out. To me, the age of Aquarius is all about personal empowerment.
Yes. And we have this, you know, we're in a bridging few years out of the old age and into the age of Aquarius. And Pluto's the planet that's really activating that for humanity.
It's rumbling away underneath everything.
Yeah. But it just, because of its very slow movement, you know, it takes almost 250 years to go all the way around one orbit. It goes, you know, it dips into Aquarius and dips back into Capricorn, goes into Aquarius again, dips back into Capricorn one more time in 2024 before it's completely free and running full into Aquarius for, I forget how many years, but at least 10 years. So this will be, you know, 2024, 2025 will be firmly in the age of Aquarius. So we have a couple of years to really get ready for that. Yeah.
But the fuse is lit.
Yes. The idea of a fuse lit gives a sense of urgency, right? And it is urgent. We Earth children do need to step up now, and we are stepping up, and we're stepping up en masse. Let's look at this solar eclipse. Let's look at the lunar eclipse coming up. So we had a solar eclipse that was back on April 19th, 20th. We just talked about that, just happened a few days ago. And that the solar eclipse, because it's a solar eclipse is an inner process, whereas a lunar eclipse is different. The solar eclipse really called for some deep soul searching, and it brings us into some inner transformation. So that's where we are now, you know, as Mercury's stopping, turning retrograde. This period of time, wait, just stop for a minute, go inside, do some soul searching, get really clear, find your truth. Then on May 5th, we have a lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse happens at a full moon, and it calls for changes that are revolutionary to the way that we're conducting business and the way that we're exchanging money. I say that because the eclipse happens in the sign of Taurus. So it's calling for revolution in terms of our values. We've been talking about, you know, how the entire way of seeing our world is and ourselves is going through massive transformation. So we're in a period of awakening, and this eclipse is a highly activating factor in the process of awakening. So I would work with these energies right around the full moon here in early May, especially around May 5th, to, you know, not just to see what you're going to decide to change in your world, in your business, in your personal life, but to go deeper with it and really be aware of the value changes, the internal value changes that are needing to happen, and the awakening to a new set of values that are created from your soul essence, rather than the values that we were just given, passed down from generation to generation, that are no longer working for us in these age and time. So between May 4th and 5th, along with the eclipse, we have this big energy. There's money flow, there's new opportunities for expanding our whole sense of well-being. All those new energies are possible. Venus in this beautiful exact aspect with Jupiter. You were talking about Jupiter being the planet of expansion, and Venus is the planet of beauty, of love, of well-being, of wealth, of all the things in life that bring us pleasure. So we have the pleasure planet and we've got the expansion planet in this beautiful aspect together, and it's just expanding all of our choices. The other thing that's happening at the same time, it's a kind of a mixed picture, because Venus, as well as it being in this fabulous linking aspect with Jupiter at the eclipse, it's also in an exact right angle with Neptune. So we need to be really crystal clear about our choices right now. We've never needed human design more than we need it now. The clarity that human design brings us when we step into it and live our design, not just be interested in finding out about it, but actually step into it and learn to live it. The kind of clarity that can come from that. And we need that clarity. Venus has all this possibility for growth, expansion, new directions, but which one is right for you? And when is the right time? And how do we know that? We have to find our clarity. If we operate outside of our clarity, we can get really confused. We can make the wrong choices. It's a little bit like driving through the fog, where you just can't even see where you're going. And it can derail our plans and our visions. So clarity is the thing that is the most important element that needs to be incorporated. And how do you return to clarity every day? I do it by meditating in the mornings, so that I'm continually bringing myself back to that clarity, and moving throughout my day in more of a state of remembrance of that inner clarity and the connection with the light that I am, the soul essence that I am. Each of you is capable of doing that and living your life from that place. So this eclipse is bringing our awareness to this in a very powerful way. The eclipse at 15 degrees of Taurus and the opposite moon at 15 degrees of Scorpio. It's an eclipse that's about big transformation. The whole month is about big transformation, taking those leaps, finding your clarity. To make the right choices is essential for our future well-being. And the eclipse highlights positive changes that are rooted in clear values, positive changes that are rooted in clear and true values. That's the essence of this eclipse, as I see it through the astrological energies.
Okay.
Let's take a look at it through design.
So from a design point of view, let's just see how we enter the month. The month, we start out with Jupiter in gateway number 3, Pluto in gateway number 60. The channel of mutation is with us all the way through the 24th of May. Right? At the same time, Mercury is going through a retrograde process. We're recapping, we're reviewing. As we enter into May, we're in the gateway of the 24 and the 27. 27 about nourishing ourselves, 24 about deep thought. It's the mind that recycles back, have I got clear about these things? And as Carol is emphasizing, the mind is a wonderful tool, but it's a terrible master if we allow our mind just to kind of take over our life and run it for us. So, great opportunity again through meditation to recognize, do I need to be thinking the whole time? Do I need to try and think my way through life? Or as my human design will tell me, actually not. There's another part of me that has an authority that can guide me perfectly. And if, I call human design not just the most valuable tool in this time, but it is the most important self-remembering device, right? We can catch ourselves any moment in time when we're going outside of our design, when we're kind of jumping into somebody else's way of doing things rather than being true to our own nature. So as we enter into the month of May and we come towards this eclipse, the eclipse takes place with the sun in gateway number 2 and the moon in gateway number 1, creativity. So the sun that is putting out this light, Earth getting in the way, blacking out the moon, And so all of a sudden we're in this arena of intense creativity on one side and intense receptivity on the other side. So it's a very, very, very powerful moon eclipse. And I've been going on about, Uranus spending a lot of time in gateway number 2, this gateway of receptivity, like triggering us to wake up, to remember, to receive these gifts that are within us, just kind of spark this, these abilities that we have to be receptive, to receive. And so this full moon eclipse is taking place in gateway number 2, and it's in the second line. And the second line is the line that's called being gifted. And so this full moon eclipse is really going to trigger a lot of remembrance around the gifts that we have, despite all the times we've been stuffed with everybody else's informations. Like these are the gifts that are true to our own nature. And it says natural access to an intelligence that often defies logical explanation. In simple terms, when you know, you know. And coming to that place of just that inner knowing, it's like anything we've ever been told about life, it's irrelevant. All the knowledge, the libraries, the Googles, all this stuff, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm actually tuning into my own nature now, my own gifts, my own abilities, my own knowing. I'm here in my life on my terms in present tense. And it's just that most magical thing when you drop into that space. And that's what this full moon eclipse is going to trigger for everybody. So just, enjoy it. If you can give yourself space and time to meditate while this is all taking place, fantastic. And you'll just see it's really an opportunity for us to enter into this process of transformation on a more continuous basis. Everything's blowing our way. The wind's blowing our way. We're being guided to have this reawakening in this time, despite all the crazy that's going on in the world around us. Out of chaos, stars are born. We are the stars, and it's time.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, that is what I see. So be alert in this first week or so of May and just see what's going down.
Right.
Yeah.
In in America and Mexico, and we have Cinco de Mayo, which is this big celebration. That eclipse is happening on Cinco de Mayo, so might as well celebrate. Celebrate all the change, celebrate all the possibilities, celebrate letting go of what's no longer important for you or real for you or true for you. Celebrate coming back home to yourself. That's the essence that I see in the eclipse. Just following the eclipse, we had the sun and Uranus together in the eclipse point. They get in an exact conjunction on May 9th. So when the sun and Uranus come together, one of the potentials is that we have big breakthroughs in technology. And we also, because it's happening in the sign of Taurus, we may have also big breakthroughs in the whole financial industry, the financial services industry possibly, but more so perhaps even the currency, the way that we make currency, exchange currency, utilize currency. I think there's been so much pressure going on in the last, say, several months that that there's inflation and interest rates have gone up and the markets have gone down, and there's these cycles of big expansion and then contraction, big expansion, then contraction have been going on since we began trying to get a hold of this beast called currency. And some breakthrough is just waiting to happen. I don't know what that is yet, but I think this is a time when this breakthrough could be really brewing, that we could see some solution to the whole thing that we experience with the exchange of value, so that it stabilizes more and becomes something more that doesn't go through such big ups and downs. This may take years, but I feel like that in the eclipse, there's some element of that being born now. It's like out of stars, right? Out of this conjunction, the Sun-Uranus conjunction at the eclipse, the possibility is being born for these big technological breakthroughs. So that should be exciting. And then we have a third quarter moon on May 12th. That's just moving us along in the path of our growth this year. The third quarter moon, again, seeing, how do we bring about massive change in our own lives? Well, you can only do it through being aligned with our higher self and following the inner truth that we know is within us. The next thing that happens is that Mercury, which has been going retrograde now, turns direct on May 14th and 15th at that turn. And when it does that, it's an exact linking aspect with Saturn. Saturn is a planet of form and structure and order. Mercury's turning retrograde in the sign of Taurus, which is about putting the foundations in and getting the values correct and building. So we have this very practical kind of energy, and it's also linked with Venus, this very practical energy that can be expressed with beauty, with a sense of inspiration. So we have that happening at the same time. So whatever it is we're building in our lives, this is an excellent time to have a lot of clarity and breakthrough on it, and just begin to really be putting the full power of our co-creative ability into whatever creations are afoot for us. Jupiter on May 16th, Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, which has been in Aries all this time, moves into the sign of Taurus on May 16th. So we're going to have about a year, not quite a year, of Jupiter in the sign of Taurus, meaning that, but I don't know how this is going to happen because it's not looking like it right now, but how that reads is that there's expansion in value, in our understanding of value, monetary expansion, value expansion. We'll see how that comes to play because this is just the very beginning of it. But some of the seeds that are being planted now around the solar eclipse are going to lead to that kind of expansion. Venus and also besides the linking energy with the planet of communication, Mercury, it's also in this trine energy, this flowing energy with Saturn. So we're taking all this innovative energy and seeing how we can put it to practical application that can be grounded, practical, and effective. At the same time, spiritually inspired. So we're going to see that going on through the middle of May, all the way to about the 20th of May or so. These energies are at play, and big changes in the market and new growth.
So you talked about the Sun and Uranus coming together, and it is the case, and it's just right after this eclipse. And in the human design perspective, this happens in gateway number 23. Again, this is part of the individual expression in human design. It's a throat gate. It's one of the voices. It's the voice of I know. Don't ask me how I know. Don't ask me where it came from. So in alignment with the fact that we're getting this intense download with the full moon eclipse, being given access to a receptivity or being reminded or having our gifts enhanced to the point that we actually, oh my goodness, this is something that actually comes through me. So now we have the Sun and Uranus together, Uranus emphasizing that whole breakthrough possibility of being able to express things that we've never said before, that we've never been able to express before. And just, re-emphasizing this sense of, oh my goodness, I actually know this. I didn't have to consult anywhere. This was something that just comes through me. So being aware of that, this goes on for 5 or 6 days while we recognize we have a new way of assimilating what it is that wants to get expressed through us. So we might find ourselves saying some things we're not necessarily used to saying very much, or just finding completely different avenues of ways to express ourselves and to enjoy that. At the same time, the planet Saturn has gone into gateway number 37 now, which is the gateway of friendship and family. And so it's reminding us, Saturn is, moves 28 or 29 years to go all the way around us. And so it takes quite a while going through any particular area of the wheel. And this particular area it's in at the moment is in the emotion center in human design. It's going through all of the 6 gateways of the emotion center, all except gateway number 6. So it's going through number 37 at the moment, reminding us about our relationship within the community. Now, what does Saturn do? I mean, it's going to spend these years. I was looking just now, it doesn't get out of the emotion center until January of 2026. So these next years, it's a very important time for us all to be paying attention to, am I in touch with my feelings? Do I get rattled at every single opportunity? Do I get freaked out emotionally? Or do I ride the waves? Do I ride these waves of emotion? What goes up, goes down, goes back up again, goes down. Am I kind of constantly behaving like a yo-yo, or am I finding the stability through it all? And Saturn is really giving us that opportunity to find that stability in emotionally turbulent times, right? The emotion center, from the human design perspective, it's the center of war. It's the center of domestic violence. It's the center of addictions. It's the center of breathing issues. It's the center of digestive issues. And basically, it has everything to do with sex, food, drugs, and rock and roll.
So there's good stuff too.
Oh, of course there is. You know, there's the thing. It's the center of pleasure. However, you know, if you're getting rattled all the time, you're not finding the pleasure side of things. If you're getting upset all the time. So I'm just saying Saturn is giving us this tremendous opportunity to reevaluate our whole emotional environment. Do we have emotional intelligence? Or is it just we've no idea how to deal with it? And so I always recommend breathing exercises when you get a little bit stressed in things. Like my granny used to say, take a deep breath, you know, just calm down a little bit. Find out what's really going on. Are you really upset? Or is it just you're getting triggered by the same old stuff the whole time? Is there a way through that? So I'm saying Saturn has gone into gateway number 37. This is gateway of friendship, family, and community. And so it's a great time to really reevaluate our sense of, where did I come from? Who are the family people I grew up with? You know, what's my relationship with everybody? You know, do they push my buttons? Do they know me too well? You know, does my community recognize me? Or, you know, is it something that gives you emotional concern all the time? So great opportunity in these next weeks to be having a look at that. We have the turnaround of Mercury. I think is it around the 14th or 15th?
Yeah, right in there.
And that happens in gateway number 27. And 27 is the gateway of nourishing. And all of us, it's really worth kind of having a look at this. How do we nourish ourselves? You know, this is where Mercury kind of slows down, comes to a stop and just says, are you looking after yourself here? And again, it's part of what we call the tribal circuitry in human design. It's about not just ourselves we take care of the community and the family and the kids and the pets, and you know, everything gets nourished in a right way. And the 27th with the 5th line is the line that's called dispersing, handling resources for the greatest benefit. And I'm not saying you have to check your wallet or your purse or your credit cards or whatever, but I'm just saying it's about, how do you nourish yourself? Are you being nourished? And I'm not just talking about food, I'm talking about, you know, mental nourishment, emotional nourishment, you know, great time to be out in nature, be nourished there. I mean, is anything more nourishing than nature and the animals, the pets that we have around us? And just to have a look at that, are we using our resources well? Are we giving our bodies what they really want? Are we having that space and time to really look out for ourselves? And then sure enough, Mercury's going to turn back around again and remind us again, by the end of the month, you know, where the turn took place, in being receptive, being open to new possibilities, new guidance, new innovations coming into our world, and see how that comes about.
Like allowing spirit to animate our lives,
Yeah.
which is so much easier than trying to figure our lives out. Good.
Yes.
All right. So we're entering a time now as we go into the latter part of May. We're looking at right around May 19th, 20th. We have a new moon on the 19th, the new moon at 28 degrees of Taurus. So we're still working with the Taurian principles of values and what's practical, what works, what can be grounded. It's time with this new moon to integrate all the changes that have come from those set of eclipses, the two very powerful eclipses that have really rocked our world and opened up all kinds of possibilities. Time to integrate those and to begin to position ourselves to make new choices and create new plans for ourselves. This probably won't happen in full until the sun goes into Gemini. That happens on May 21st. When the sun enters Gemini this year, May 21st, it forms an exact triangle with Pluto. Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius, the sun at 0 degrees of Gemini, and it also sextiles Mars. So we've got the sun and Pluto, the two, the sun generates life force, it's power, it's our sense of identity, purpose, it's how we're moving through life. And Pluto, the planet of powerful transformation, death and rebirth, along with Mars, the planet that has to do with how we implement, how we work, and how we exchange value in the world. All of those in a highly linking aspect as the sun moves into Gemini, just following the new moon. So the 19th, 20th, 21st of May, a really important kind of turning point time. And we get to see with some of the aspects, Mars is just, has been in the sign of Cancer for quite some time. It's just about to leave the sign of Cancer and enter the sign of Leo. And as it does that, then it forms an exact right angle. It does that on May 22nd. A big, what astrologers call a T-square, which means that two planets are opposite each other exactly in the heavens, and another planet is at 90-degree angles to both of them. So a T-square is a point at which we meet, it's where power meets force. It's where the power for transformation, because we've got Pluto here, for big change, for big growth, we've got Jupiter here in this, and for implementing all of that is here. And are we going to use force? Are we going to make it happen? Or are we going to allow ourselves to be in alignment with how we naturally work, how we bring things into being, how we work with the creative force of the universe, and find that creativity can be actually easy, and implementing new changes can happen with much greater grace than if we're trying to shoulder our way through it, right? So we're learning the difference between true power and the use of force with this aspect. We get to see the results also of some of the bold changes that are here, for us to make. We're being called to those bold changes. Are we making them? Do we need to course correct a bit? And if we need to course correct a bit, we'll see that towards the end of May. I realize we're going a little bit over time here. There's just so much to share about this coming month with these two powerful eclipses. Can we go a little? I hope you can stay with us another 5 minutes or so. We'll bring it to a wrap.
So I just want to go back to the eclipse again, just briefly. And the eclipse took place in the second hexagram, second line, and the sun in the first hexagram, the second line. And the significance of the second hexagram in human design is it opens up a whole new quarter. The sky in human design we divide into four quarters, and the second hexagram opens up the quarter called civilization. And so that full moon eclipse is basically, what is civilization all about? You ask Mahatma Gandhi and he says it's a nice idea, but it's basically the whole arena of communication. So after the second hexagram, all the following gateways are gateways that are in the throat center. They're all about the voice gates. They're all about the manifesting gates, all about expressions of things. When we come to the 19th and the sun has moved on and we're having this new moon on the 19th, and this is taking place where the sun and moon are together, and it's happening in gateway number 8 and the fifth line of that. And that opens up the life theme that we call uncertainty. So any kind of transformation that takes place, there is necessarily a level of uncertainty about it. Where's this taking me? What's going to happen from it? I'm entering into something I don't necessarily know what the outcome's all about. And so this particular life theme of uncertainty, there are 192 life themes. We each have one of them. They're all in this book, the Book of Destinies. And this one starts out, and we're just going to read the first sentence to you. Your life theme is to assure the world that no problem is insurmountable, that life is a mystery to be lived and not a problem to be solved. And it's just reminding all of us, nobody really knows what it is that's going to happen. Nobody knows. Life is a mystery. And the more we try and think about it and try and work it through, conceptualize it, the more we get lost into philosophy, we get lost into knowledge. It's not a bad inquiry at all, but the bottom line of it all is the answer is within. That's the bottom line with this. And this full moon eclipse that we're having on the 5th of May is just kind of opening that whole frontier. Can we re-embrace in our own life? Can we remember our own gifts? Can we get on track with our own sense of purpose?
So a very, very powerful, pregnant month, a time of an immense possibility. Of course, we're going to be back with you again on the 27th of May for our broadcast looking at the month of June. But just a little bit about the ending part of May. When Mercury, you talked about this too, when Mercury passes its station point, that will be actually on the 31st of May. Then we're going to see the energy really picking up. So we'll be busy in May, but we're going to get busier and busier. It's going to be a time of, just pregnant with a lot of possibility. The first quarter moon takes the energy of the new moon that we saw, what was that, on the 20th and 19th, 20th, and now gives us the impetus to start really acting on all the potential that was there at the new moon. So we have Venus in some very lovely flowing aspects. There's a high potential for healing, for renewing, for innovation again, creativity, for artistic expression, lots of growth, making sure that the growth that we're headed in is really in alignment with our higher self, with our inner truth. And the more that we're in alignment with our inner truth, the more easy it is for our intentions to get manifested in the world. Okay, that's what I have to say about that. And we'll see you back again here on May 27th. It's been a great pleasure to bring this information to you, and hopefully it's been helpful and useful.
And sparks you.
Yes.
All right. See you next time.